Welcome to DDL. I'm Justin. This is T. We're going to get into it.
There it goes. We're on.
Sweet.
Let's do it.
Hopefully the microphone's working this week. Oops.
Oops. I could have swore I turned that on.
I might have touched it, but I don't know.
Oh.
Sorry, everybody, for last week's echoey recording.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have done a sound check or a check on everything before we started.
Yeah.
We did it this time. Just we should have done it last time, too.
Yeah.
Well, it's just getting worse. I need to get some wood or something to strengthen that up.
Yeah.
Because this plastic is not working so well. It's all good, though. All right. Well, it's been a couple weeks since we sat down and did this.
Yeah.
And a lot's kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we didn't record, or the day after we recorded, there was the second attempt over at the golf course on Trump's life.
Yeah.
So do we want to start with that?
Sure.
Go for it. Lead us off, buddy.
Well, I didn't look up too much on the information, but so you remember how I told you that the first shooter was in a BlackRock commercial?
What?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So the first shooter, the kid, he was in a BlackRock commercial.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I don't remember you saying that.
Yep. He absolutely was. You know what's really interesting? This guy, he was in a BlackRock commercial.
No.
Yes. So now both people who have tried an attempt on Trump's life are connected with BlackRock, at least in an ancillary way. It's interesting because I've never seen one BlackRock commercial, but apparently they have they're 2 for 2 with Trump shooters. So there's probably no corporation or deep state ties to that at all. We can just write that off as another one of those conspiracy theories, right?
Oh, that's interesting. That is actually really interesting.
Yeah.
You ever heard of Freedom Tunes?
I have. I can't remember. It sounds familiar. I'm just trying to place it.
What's his name? Seamus?
Oh,
Seamus
yeah.
Yeah, he makes them.
Yeah.
I watched his Trump assassination videos, and then I watched the one like if Kamala, if it would have been against Kamala, and I'm just like, the dude is hilarious. He does a really good job of making those cartoons.
Yeah, I haven't caught one of his in a while, but he's pretty good. I like the guy.
So yeah, I thought it was interesting that that was the second attempt within a month.
Yeah.
2 months, something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, crazy. And then there's people out there that are like rooting for it. And I'm sitting here thinking, if he actually got assassinated, I'm not sure I'd want to stay in the country.
I mean, I'll stay.
Well, I'm sure.
I got stuff to fight for.
See, and it's interesting because you'd stay because you have things to fight for. I would stay to fight for things. However, I'm also thinking of my kids. And I'm like, no, I got to get them out.
Yeah, but I mean, where are you going to go?
I know exactly where I'd go.
Well, the problem is Mexico, they don't really accept Americans the way we accept
it ain't Mexico.
everybody.
Go a little further south.
Yeah, but as far as finding permanent treatise, I mean, yeah, you can fly out wherever you want, but yeah, I just wherever you go, okay. I don't know. Where are you going to go that's going to be a place that you want to live and raise kids and all that?
I already have a perfect place in mind. Yeah. Been there a few times.
Yeah.
I love going there.
Yeah.
So, but the only reason I would go is if this country turned to crap. Well, that's not true because later when they're older, I'll probably move out of the country.
Mm-hmm.
Not get rid of, my citizenship or anything like that. I obviously want to come back. Family's still going to be here. Kids are still going to be here.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, while America is great to live in, definitely there's some other countries out there that are fun to stay in.
Yeah, fun to stay in. No. Nope.
There's
nowhere else has freedom of speech the way we do. And you'll get arrested for what you post online, what you say. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. America's a flawed country, but even with its flaws, it does have its Bill of Rights, which extends way further than most countries, and that was exampled by the COVID lockdowns. And even though there were overreaches in America, you still had places you could go Twin Falls is one of the reasons.
Yeah.
I thought of it was just because, hey, they don't have the lockdowns that Denver did, and so
Yep.
you can find places within America, but most countries, nope. If they want to take your rights, what are you going to do about it?
Legal system in this one country is completely different than ours. Don't get me wrong, but there's other aspects of it that definitely beat out America's legal systems, and there's trade-offs, man. I'm not disagreeing with you. America is a shining example of how things are to do, but and I would 100% agree with you. Living in Southern Idaho during COVID was great for me. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
I hated when I had to travel to Boise or Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Because they had mandates and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to wear a mask. What am I going to wear a mask for? It doesn't, it's not doing anything.
Well, especially walking down the street. But all of that to say, I mean, you maybe have a handful of countries you could go to, but at the end of the day, what's the point of it if you can't stay and fight for what you have here? So,
I'll tell you exactly why. Because those 3 children I have are much more valuable to me to make sure that they survive than anything else.
Right. But I'd see most Americans would stay and fight for their families.
100% agree with you on that one. Yeah. Other than the fact that I have a child that is of fighting age. And it's a little different, right? So, yes, fighting for your children definitely is a thing. A revolutionary war wouldn't have happened if you didn't have people like that, right? But at the same time, there's that pull to protect your family.
Sure. That's where I think the whole reason we have the Second Amendment is to protect our families. I think that's the whole reason for it. And so I'll be protecting my family as well. But in a different way.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. I mean, at that, basically what I'm saying is, if that happens, civil war will break out. I don't think there is a doubt in anyone's mind that if Trump was assassinated, things would get hot very fast.
Right, but it would be over very quickly. It wouldn't be like the last Civil War.
You think so?
Yes. Unless the government aided one side, that would be the only way.
Oh, well, we already know the government's going to try. The thing is, I think they would actually fracture the military. I think you would see like military commanders actually being like, nope, we're disregarding that one.
Well,
and you'll actually end up getting a complete split in the military as well.
And therein lies the, as far as brother against brother, I have no qualms with what'll happen, because most Democrats have given up all their gun rights, have no interest in it, have participated in buyback programs, have.
Okay.
So realistically, if it came down to it and you want to fight to the death to protect a country, generally, as a Christian, not something I'm into. But if it comes down to it and I have to, I will defend my family by whatever means necessary.
And you did bring up a point. It's not going to be like the prior Civil War in the United States. It's not going to be a dividing line between the North and the South. What's more than likely end up going to happen is you're going to have rural versus non-rural areas.
Right.
You're actually going to end up getting blockades of people like, oh, you're not shipping semi-trucks into...
Update there. Yep. Try again.
I'm just going to skip that one. Skip that one.
Okay.
Skip that one. But are we not back? This is really weird. I mean, we're talking.
Yep. We're in there. Audio.
But our audio or our video is...
Try again. Refresh.
What is going
on?
on?
Do this for all current items.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There you go.
That makes it so much easier for me. But let me figure out this
video capture
camera real quick. Let's transition over to that real quick. Transition back. No, that's still frozen. What is going on? priorities.
Not giving you an option there.
There we go. Let's go over to that one. And now, whoop, perfect. Got that to switch back, but and let's see if that resets it and returns it on.
We'll see.
There it goes.
Check.
Yeah,
There we
that
go.
fixed it.
All
that
right.
was odd. Weird.
All right.
Okay, back at it. Sorry. Apologize for the technical stuff. Where were we? We were talking
as far as rural versus cities.
Oh yeah, like more than likely, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have. We can see this from the voting maps that the densely populated urban centers are mainly Democrats, and unfortunately, this is going to fall along ideological lines. It's going to be Democrats versus Republicans at this point.
Yeah,
and you are right. There are some positives from the right looking at how this would actually go. My thing is, I really don't want another civil war.
I get that, but ultimately, what would happen would be each side would more bunker down in where they reside. I don't see people from the towns and rural areas moving into the cities to try to take over. And I don't see people from the cities really trying to go into the rural areas. And that would be where it is. It's like if you want to come into the rural area onto my property and start something, then we can have... But as far as pushback, it would be more kind of protests in the street. So it would probably culminate in the cities. But yeah, there's really no way to launch unless it was military strategy to launch a coordinated attack against people who are spread out the way that most of the American citizens are. It'd be very difficult anyway. Unless we're talking
that's
crazy technology weapons and stuff like that, but then we're talking war crimes against United States citizens. So
I wouldn't put it past the CIA or the FBI to do that.
they would never do that.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
Remember what we talked about with the nuclear bomb?
Yeah,
they would never attack peaceful citizens.
So where I'm going with this is I don't think it's going to be fought in the cities, and I don't think it's going to be fought in the countryside. Where it's going to be fought is the border between the two. Because what's going to end up happening is they're going to be like, we're going to starve you out. You no longer are going to be whatever. They're going to prevent goods and services from going into the cities. What's going to happen then? People are going to start, oh crap, we need to get out. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to start pushing out into the suburbs and into the rural areas to look for food, to look for shelter, to look for whatever they need. And that's where the skirmishes are going to come into play. That's how I see it unfolding.
Yeah, I don't see anybody from the cities being able to
do anything
about it. So
it's not. I mean, just take Russia.
They'll look to the government for sustainability. For the most part. Yeah,
for the most part. But the government's going to be ineffectual if you actually have organized people saying like, you know what, the government is the cause of this. You know, we're going to put an end to it. You're no longer legitimate. I can just see a lot of issues coming along the lines. And the reason I say that the cities could pose a really big issue, even if they have no guns, like take Chicago. They might, I mean, there are guns in Chicago, but that's not,
Yeah.
But even let's say that there was no guns in Chicago, the amount of people in Chicago in itself could overwhelm people. Right?
Well, and that's where I think it'll be friend on friend out there as far as friend on friend goes. If you want to skip that, as far as friend on friend goes, it would be most Democrats reside in cities, and so what's it going to be? It's going to be people within the cities fighting amongst themselves for survivability, for sustainability.
But that's only going to go on for so long,
right? But that's going to be the initial like when you're not able to feed your family, what are you going to do?
You're going to
every person for themselves.
Yeah.
And so the left's going to really eat themselves, for lack of a better term. Whereas the people who aren't in the city, I have a garden.
Yeah.
Most people are able to either know somebody or have the means to produce food on their land. Mm-hmm. Even if you just chunked out your entire yard and converted it over.
Yeah.
It's not.
I mean, I don't have a green thumb in any way, shape, or form, but I can figure it out.
Right. again, for the survivability of your family, what are you going to do? The people who live in high rises, which I was one, you got 7-8 stories. Where are you gonna plant a garden? Where are you going to find food for your family? You're gonna walk into the streets and start eating, pets. I mean, you can't walk. You don't have cows within walking distance to take out. So yeah,
I'm not disagreeing with you in any of that. That's how it's going to start.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to have to come out.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the issue is really going to start playing.
But I think that they will cannibalize themselves and dwindle down the entire population, is what I'm saying.
I don't know if they would wait that long.
Before they would come out. I think they know that if they tried to come out, it would be get off my property or you're going to get shot.
I can see your point. I just don't necessarily know if I agree with it.
If I was still living in a city, I'd probably take my chances in a city versus trying to walk out on a Farmer John's ranch, because I know Farmer John's got guns.
I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I'm just.
And I know he's got cameras, and I know he's got nowadays with how cheap Ring cameras and all that setup is. There's no way I'm taking the chance to set any foot on anybody else's property.
I would love to agree with you. I don't foresee it. I think the drive, the survival drive is going to be too strong, and it's going to force people out of the cities.
But that's where the survival drive will be fending for yourself where you're at.
If you have no food source in a city and you are cannibalizing against your neighbor, that's only going to be able to happen for so long.
Well, you're speaking as though it's 100% sure that there won't be any sort of deliveries, and so I think that's taking. I think for the most part, yeah, goods and services will slow down quite a bit from the truck drivers, but I think there will also be truck drivers who say, we cannot starve American citizens. I will be driving my truck into towns and cities.
I'm not disagreeing with you there, but what happens when you have a local group that gets together and says, bam, we're putting spike strips out and stopping you from even entering the city?
There's a difference between Civil War and just like Mad Max. Like I think you're visualizing something that's quite different than what Civil War will look like.
I don't know. I'm actually visualizing what I think the Civil War would look like, not necessarily Mad Max.
Well, spike strips from citizens is Mad Max style, and
on
top of that,
I would fully disagree with you on that one. It is very feasible that local communities would get together and blockade
and try to take out truck drivers.
No,
who are doing their job.
Prevent transportation into cities.
Yeah, that's Mad Max style. That is 100% Mad Max style. You don't deliver or else you die. Because
I didn't say die. I said
absolutely.
Prevent. I said prevent.
Okay, then what do you do if you go, I'm still going to drive on these?
People would still drive on that.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you there.
Then either you're preventing them, which means you're done, or you're going to let them pass. Even with spike strips,
you could still get by. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If
you're going to get into it, you're still going to have people trying to get into it.
Right, but that's what I'm talking about. If you're going to prevent somebody from doing their job, you're going to fully prevent them, which is either bind them up and tie them or end their life.
There could be some areas that end up doing it that way.
I don't see it happening. Again, I don't see Mad Max style carnage because, again, they're not going to care. They're not going to care. We have foods and services. We have farms. We're able to farm. We don't care about the deliveries. So what? They're feeding other Americans. I think that goes into a whole nother mental stratosphere of we're going to starve Americans. I don't see that happening.
I could very much see that happening.
And if you do, that's Mad Max. Starving an American citizen versus, hey, we're not going to, we're going to stand our ground versus starving an American citizen. That is Mad Max style territory.
I would disagree with you.
Okay, well, I disagree with you.
That's fair. That's fair. I think we both envision how this could unfold very differently.
Yeah.
I don't think it's Mad Max style. I think it's very feasible.
But that's the breakdown of society, which is Mad Max style. That is the breakdown of culture and society and all fair rules of play, and you want to torture American citizens. to get your way. And when you starve American citizens and prevent goods and services from going to the places that benefit other Americans, you are, in essence, trying to torture them. You are doing whatever you can. Again, what did we talk about with Israel? They cut off water and services to the citizens, and everybody said that is not okay because it is torture. And so that's what I mean. That alone in itself is such a societal breakdown. That is anarchy. That is no government, no rules. The American citizens, it's not even military versus military. It is American citizens doing what they want and taking everything into their own hands. That is complete collapse. That is no sides of war. That is just everybody doing what they see right in their own eyes. That's what I mean by Mad Max.
Interesting. I think you're taking what I'm saying and converting it into something I'm not saying.
But that would be, if you're going to stop people from delivering food.
I didn't say stop people from delivering food. I said blockade cities.
Right. But in essence, you'd be blockading them from receiving food.
That could be part of it. I'm not saying like that's all of it. What I'm getting at...
Well, that's what we started the conversation with, was how people are going to eat and survive. And then your rebuttal to that was they won't be able to because it's cut off.
My response is goods and services into the cities are either going to disappear or going to be dwindled to the point where living inside of a city is not going to be feasible. Right?
That's never happened in the United States in war. Even during... They cut off supplies, but it was supplies for munitions. It wasn't supplies for...
100%. I understand that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is I'm envisioning the way this breakdown is going to happen is it's not going to be along a straight borderline. It's going to be suburban, urban fighting.
Right.
And in order, what's going to end up happening is people are going to take survival stances.
Right.
And they're going to hoard their own supplies that they need in order to survive. Now that could come in the form of blockading and stealing semi-trucks worth of goods and services or whatever. There's multiple ways this could happen. All I'm saying is the amount of people that live inside a city is going to be strained to the point where it's going to force people out of the city.
I don't see that at all.
I hope we don't have to find out.
Well,
that's what I really hope for.
Here's what I think. Because the people who live off grid are sustainable, they're not going to care.
100%, they won't care.
Exactly, and so there won't be blockades, and so all of that to say, here's what what you've laid out. That's the vision there. What I see is American citizens going about their day-to-day lives and letting the cities continue to disrupt themselves and be imploded from the inside, because city life isn't very sustainable unless you have a thriving economy.
Yes.
City life is only sustainable when everything is going well. City life will destroy itself and eat upon itself and cannibalize itself within cities themselves, is what I'm saying. And so with that, they're going to be so focused on it's bunker mentality. You don't go out to look around for other stuff. You stick with what you know. You know, all right, here are my strategic points. Here's where I know I have a balcony. I can take shots at people. You know, you kind of stick around your surroundings and you fight for what is yours. And that's where I see life within the cities imploding upon itself. And then the people who are in the outskirts just going, wow, look at that. And continuing living their lives. And again, I go back to, I ain't trying to sneak on any farms around here. Are you kidding me? No way. I'll take my chances where I'm at.
So I'm loving what you're saying because I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay.
But there is going to be a point. The survivability of the people in the cities, whether or not that dwindles from 10 million down to 1 million, at some point, the ability to sustain yourself inside the city is going to get so great that they are forced out. And that's where my issue is coming into play.
Well, once you get down to 1 million from 10 million, you have solved a lot of the problem of
100%
of supply and demand.
But what happens if, yes, you're solving, it's self-solving itself a little bit.
Right.
But what happens when the companies that are shipping in food or whatever stop shipping in food
But
because there's no longer a need to ship in food because there's no longer any purchasing power, right?
Right, but that is where government sustainability, government subsidies, all that stuff.
Yeah,
That's where I go back to the cities will destroy themselves. There's
I
no
disagree with
need.
you.
There's no need. This could be one of the most silent civil wars that's ever been fought, where people within the cities destroy one another, and especially as psychosis starts happening within the cities, mob mentalities, the craziness that happens within a city. What did everybody in Southern Idaho do when the pandemic started? They sat back, watched TV, and went, "Holy cow! Those people in the cities are going crazy. They're stabbing each other. They're shooting each other." And this was over George
paper?
Floyd. This was over George Floyd and toilet paper. And there, people in rural areas are just going, "Holy smokes! What is going on out there?" But when you're in it,
It's
yes,
very much
absolutely. And so that's where I'm saying you might not even have to necessarily fire a single shot in order for the economic downturn to tear apart a city.
I'm not disagreeing with you, and that would actually be an amazing way to happen. I just don't foresee it happening. I think the survival instincts of people is too strong, and they will flood out of the cities, and at that point will cause the conflict.
I don't know. I think know
that's our breakdown on how we're seeing differences.
I just know the mindset of people, especially when I lived in Denver, as people were getting priced out, as gentrification was happening within the city of Denver.
You're talking housing pricing?
Yes.
Okay.
As it was harder and harder for black people to live in areas because they were tearing down houses and putting up duplexes in spots that had little bungalow style homes.
Okay.
That, basically I talked to a lot of the black people that were there, and it's like, hey, you see all this stuff going on. Why are you still living here? Because this is home. This is where my family lived. This is where my grandparents lived. This is our home. We own it, and this is our land, and we're gonna stay and fight. And that's more what I see. The same thing that the people in the rural are gonna do. They're gonna hunker down and go, "You're not taking my land." I think it's gonna be the same thing within the city. You're not gonna take over my apartment building, my house, my block. That's sort of what I think.
Yeah, I can see that reasoning. Not 100% sure I agree with it, but that's why we're different. That's why we're having a discussion.
Well, and that's where, go out into the rural areas, see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. All I'm thinking is I don't want to see another civil war.
No.
I don't want to see American fighting American. I want us to figure out a way to fix and heal our wounds.
Yeah.
We are such a divided nation. We have different beliefs, and there was someone that was saying it was like a multicultural democracy inside of a constitutional republic, and those two just cannot intermix. So how do we go about getting us back to? I was watching. So you know what? This brings up an interesting topic. Let me just pick your brain for a second. Electoral college, for or against?
I'm fine with.
Have you ever been against it?
Not really. I've looked at it a couple of times and gone, why do we do it that way? But I've never been like against it.
Okay. So I was watching a debate on whether or not the electoral college should be done, right? And one person obviously had the stance that the electoral college should stay, and the other person was saying the president should be elected via popular vote. And when I was younger, I used to be steadfast against the electoral college. I thought it made absolutely no sense. But as I grew up and I realized that the electoral college, our founders, while not perfect, did have some very brilliant ideas. And the electoral college was one of those brilliant ideas.
Right. Because they didn't want the 4 or 5 cities that existed at that time to determine elections.
Yeah, because you could literally, if you get rid of the electoral college today, and you could literally end up with a president, a Democratic president, elected by L.A. and New York alone. Yeah. Every other person in the country could say, no, we want the Republican.
Right. Well, and that goes back to the electoral college map that we saw that was, other than a few blue counties, like literally hundreds of counties for every 10 blue counties. So
and the argument against it is like, well, why does land matter more than a person's vote? And it's not land, it's states' rights, right?
Right.
Because Wyoming is the least populated state.
Right.
Why should Wyoming why Wyoming?
I knew where you were getting at.
Why should Wyoming have to bend its knee to the coastal elites?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so once I started looking at it like that, like, hey, the states do have power.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a federal. We're not a country a top down country. We're a bottom up country.
Mm-hmm.
The states joined together and said, hey, you know what? We're going to work with all the other states in order to produce this nation.
Yeah.
So we can't have California and New York determining what every other state does.
Well, and I think also the biggest thing is the only reason the Democrats are for tearing down the Electoral College is because they have won the popular vote the last 4 or 5 times. But if it was the opposite, I guarantee it wouldn't be that way. And that's where it's like, is it really a principle for you or not? And for me, I've like we talked about, I've thought of, well, a popular vote might be an okay way to do it. But then again, going back to thinking about it, okay, maybe it doesn't represent most of what America is thinking throughout. You know, it represents what the coasts think, but it doesn't represent what all that chunk in between thinks.
Yeah.
And so if that's your principle, like I understand if you think it should be the popular vote, but if it's only you only want it to be the popular vote because your guy is winning or your girl, sorry ladies, is winning, then you just want to win. It's not about the actual principle of Electoral College versus popular vote.
And I think the people that like the college kids that are for it, I think that is a principle. Like they think that, but I think it's that they've been lied to during school. They've been lied that we're in a democracy. We're not. We don't live in a democracy. But I mean,
right.
even when you watch Trump, he's just like working on our he uses the word democracy, and I really wish we would stop saying democracy because we're not in a democracy.
Mm-hmm.
We have democracy principles inside of a constitutional republic. We are not a democracy.
Right. Well, that's where I go back to, because you're told it by your teacher doesn't mean you actually have a principle. It means you were told something. And I go back to, is it something you hold fast? As in, is this a principle that you hold rather than just something that means you win? Because I remember there were elections where the Republican candidate, when I was growing up, got more popular votes. Mm-hmm. So for me, it wasn't it was kind of a regular thing. Generally, whoever won the popular vote also won the Electoral College. So in my mind at the time, my debate was, well, why does it matter? Because it's pretty much the same thing. Because whether it was Republican or Democrat who won, they won both the Electoral College and the popular vote. And it's only recently that it's switched. And so that's why in my mind it was a principle. It was, yeah, I understand why you could want democracy for every person's vote matters, but at the end of the day, I went, you know what, I think the way they do it is actually fine. And it wasn't because my side was winning, it was because I thought it was the better way to go about, like I said, representing the interests of most of the nation.
Yeah, and that really is. I mean, so yeah. I heard an argument, I can't remember who heck made this argument, but someone was arguing that, so DIE, you know what DIE is, right?
DEI?
Well, I say DIE because it's where corporations go to die.
Mm.
So, sorry. But yes, you know what I'm talking about,
yeah.
right? So someone was making the argument that the Senate is actually a DIE. And I was like, that's a stretch. Because they were saying that, like, the senators represent the interests, like, it doesn't matter if it's Wyoming or if it's New York or California or South Dakota, North Dakota, Alaska. Everyone gets two senators. Mm-hmm. So in essence, the Senate in and of itself is a DIE. And I'm like, that's actually not why that happens.
No.
It's that does that because the senators are supposed to represent the interests of the states. The House of Representatives is representing the wish of the people.
Well, I think they're both representing the wishes of the people. The difference is the reason the Senate or the House goes by population is, okay, these more populous areas might have more influence, but that's why the Senate is the tiebreaker, because now Idaho has just as much voting power as New York does when it comes to the Senate. So it still is representing the people, but it's doing it more more objectively, like state per state, every state has 2 votes. And so that way it's kind of that same thing as the Electoral College. It's a buffer against, hey, you have 45 million people, we have 2 million, who wins? Well, you tie.
So you're partially correct. 100%.
No, I am correct.
So when the Constitution was laid out, the Senate was not actually an elected position. The senators were
right, but it still represents
by the states.
Right, but it represents the states.
It represents the states. Yes, it represents the people of the state.
Right.
That's why I'm saying like you're mostly correct, but there is slight difference. Their focus is meant to focus on the state.
Right, well. but it was a balance so that every state has equal power in that senatorial vote.
I'm saying like you're like 95% right there. I'm just saying the Senate was actually meant to represent the state that they're representing, the people in that state, versus the representatives are actually representing the constituents of their
right, but they both are. They're just doing it in different ways.
Exactly. Yeah. I was just trying to clarify that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was in my mind when I was explaining it.
Yeah,
so I was okay.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to the slight difference on that one. They're both representing the people, but slightly in a different way. Yeah. Yeah. Because the way I was hearing you, I was like, it's not exact, but yeah.
That was in my mind when I was saying it. So maybe I didn't explain it fully, but
you're good. God, all this came from Donald Trump almost getting killed.
Yeah.
So I did hear that he wasn't even in any danger, that the Secret Service saw a muzzle.
Okay.
And was able to engage the potential assassin before Trump was even in any danger. Mm-hmm. I did hear that he was able to escape in, I think it was like 50 miles down the road or something like that before he ended up getting pulled over and captured.
Oh, okay.
And then originally, he was only charged with gun crimes, like possessions, a felon with possession of a firearm or something like that. And then it wasn't until the letter came out where he was offering to pay someone $150,000 or $1.5 million or whatever.
It was $150,000.
Was it? Okay, yeah.
To kill the president of the United States, $150,000.
It's kind of low.
It doesn't even buy a crappy home in a rural area. Like $150,000 to kill the president of the United States? Are you kidding me? It's just insane to me. Like, come on now. Like, at least $500,000. Come on. At least give me a starter home somewhere. Like, I don't understand with inflation. Like, you have to adjust your prices if you want to kill the president. You gotta. We're up 15% from where we were in 2020, so we gotta. That price has to come up. It's value, time value of money. Basic investment.
I'm sorry, man. That was good. Oh,
by the way, sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you see when they arrested him? The video?
No, I have not seen any of the videos on it.
Oh my gosh. He had his T-shirt around his head.
What do you mean? Like a bandana style?
No. Like around his head, like this.
Like Beavis and Butthead?
Like the Great Cornholio. Yes.
Oh, no way.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
God, dang it. I'm going to have to go look at that now.
Oh, yeah. I wish we could pull it up right now, but the computer's having some struggles right at the moment.
Yeah, but looks like 3 minutes left.
Look at the video if you can in your own time. But as they're arresting him, he's got his shirt around his head like the Great Cornholio. Oh, and I don't know if he actually was the Great Cornholio because he's blonde as well. I guess the only way to really determine if he was is whether or not he requires TP for his bunghole. But that I just saw that and I was like, is this seriously happening right now?
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. So anyway.
We're aging ourselves.
Yes.
Pretty bad.
Beavis and Butthead stands the test of time. I will stand by that.
It is good. It is good. But I do find it interesting that they charged him only with gun crimes. Or possession
initially,
of whatever, initially, and then they finally did it after that came out. It's
right.
It almost seems like the DOJ does not even want to acknowledge that Trump's life was potentially in danger.
Yeah.
Because have they even charged the original shooter? Because
I mean, what are they going to charge him with? Being dead?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm sitting here thinking, like, have they even released any of the information about the original shooter? I'm sorry. I'm getting this all.
No, what I heard something too. There was a tie to the shooter, or the attempted shooter for the most recent one. There was a tie to him and Stephen Paddock from the Las Vegas shooting as well.
Really?
There was some sort of a tie there. I don't know if it was familial or relational, but there was some sort of a tie there as well.
They both work for the FBI? I mean... Sorry, I don't say that.
Yeah. No, I can't remember what it was. I heard it in passing. I should have done more research on it, but it was just one of those, oh, cool. So the other shooting that we haven't solved in Las Vegas that we just threw on one guy, and we have... It's weird how we still don't have the videotapes of him taking bags up the elevator, even though Vegas has cameras recording their elevators, and they have them in
like every hall.
Yeah,
in every
they have them in Mandalay Bay. So
yeah,
it's just weird they never released that, and they just kind of slowly swept it under the rug, and we never heard anything about it. Interesting. Anyway,
it's also kind of interesting how we never found out about Epstein's client list.
Right. Right. Now we're going to find out about the Diddy client list. So,
oh,
yeah.
You're moving into that.
Yep. Well, we can. I could just touch on it and walk away from it. We can walk away from it if we want to. We can keep it on.
We don't need
politics.
to get a freak on, right?
Yeah. By the way, I did have somebody that I worked with at the Olive Garden in Boise who was at the Vegas shooting. He was one of the people. He actually got clipped by a bullet. I think it hit his calf, and he was in the hospital. Had to get stitched up and all that. But yeah. He was there. Crazy stuff.
Crazy stuff, man. We live in a crazy time.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not know that there was a relationship between those two.
Yeah.
However, that is,
into it.
I was being a complete jackwag, and I'm just throwing out conspiracies because, conspiracies love to be galore in this day and age.
Well, there was, speaking of conspiracies, there was, it's now confirmed the FBI did stand down on the original assassination attempt.
FBI or Secret Service?
What's the difference?
Yeah. I saw that.
Yeah.
What's his name from the House? Drop that. Gates, wasn't it?
I don't remember who specifically, but yeah, probably.
Yeah, he came from the House.
Yeah.
Which is interesting that they actually released that. It is really interesting that they're releasing much more information about the second shooter than they are the first shooter.
Yeah.
But it is really also interesting that they're not giving us a whole heck of a lot as to what actually happened with Secret Service in that first shooting.
Right. Well, we do know that the second shooter apparently did own silverware, which was not the case with the family for the first shooter.
Really?
Yeah. The FBI went to...
That's super important.
The FBI went to raid their house, and there was no silverware in the home.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how that plays in anything, but...
No. Again, just
thanks for
again,
the knowledge,
just weird stuff.
Weird stuff.
Mm-hmm. Plastic forks for life.
Crap, man. He made,
sorry.
You're good.
Gates.
You dropped that information. The second shooter. I do find it also really interesting that his son came out in defense of his father and saying that, basically saying any reasonable person would have think that it's okay to kill Donald Trump. Yet, if I'm not mistaken, isn't he a sex offender?
I don't know if he's a sex offender, but he does have CP on his computer, which also Stephen Paddock did as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
interesting. I'm going to go back to this Epstein client list. How can you convict whatever her last name?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell. Thank you. Gosh, how did I screw that up? I should have remembered that. More important.
Yeah.
How can you convict her and have victims and not in the client list and not release any of that to streaming.
Oh, microphones are still going.
Yeah. What the heck?
We still got the record button on, so we're still recording.
Yeah, we're still recording, and,
Okay.
and our mics are back on. So let's just try fixing the camera again.
Let's do that.
It ended that transfer, and
Yeah,
it,
that's
like,
why I wanted
screwed
to
everything
wait.
up.
But
We should have waited. I should have.
yeah,
But it was going to take us like. There we go. We're back. That's
perfect. So speaking of transitions, Kamala Harris. I didn't watch much, but I watched her on Oprah.
okay.
A lot of people talked about her interview the week after, which was where the week after that, where she was talking about holistic. What was the word she kept repeating over and over again? I forget.
I don't remember.
But it was basically a town hall style interview. But before that, they actually had Oprah. She was on Oprah's show, not her show, but Oprah hosted her, and Oprah let her talk, and it was basically hey, here's a question, and then Oprah kind of sat back and just let Kamala hang herself.
Really?
It was very interesting because and that triggered a conspiracy theory in my mind that not only did, because remember how I said I was impressed that Kamala was able to speak in full sentences during the debate.
Yeah.
So here's what I think. I think Kamala Harris not only got the questions beforehand, because I guarantee Oprah gave her the questions beforehand.
Okay.
I think not only did she get the questions beforehand, she also was given a script or basically she was coached up like, hey, here's what you do. And I think that they also...
You're talking in the debate.
In the debate.
Okay.
And here's where I think that happened, because with Trump, they basically probably told her, if Trump goes here, here's where you go. Or if Trump goes here, we're going to cut him off, and then we're going to allow you to speak. And I think they coached her up and let her know the exact ins and outs because she sounded very competent in the debate. Remember, that was my big takeaway, how she... I know that she had the questions beforehand because Oprah wants the Democratic candidate to win. She does not want Donald Trump to win. So I guarantee that Oprah gave Kamala Harris the questions beforehand. Hey, here's what I'm going to ask you. And she let her sink or swim. And Kamala was just stammering and stuttering. And you saw Oprah lean back in her chair and just kind of stare and just kind of look like not disgusted, but just kind of disappointed. And it's interesting. I was wondering why Oprah would have let Kamala flop like that. But I think part of it is Oprah probably thought, y'all didn't think of me for the presidency. I'm eloquent. I'm a black woman. I'm actually black. I can speak. And I think it was part of it was Oprah saying, okay, I will have her on my show. I will host her. I'll give her the questions ahead of time. But if you want a real candidate who can take down Donald Trump, look at me. You want a billionaire who can go head to head against another billionaire. I think that was the message Oprah was trying to send to the Democratic Party. And it was very like the way that she held herself and just kind of let Kamala implode. There were several times she could have jumped in, helped, given her a lifeline, or said, so what you're saying is this. She didn't. And to me, that went back to the old Kamala that I saw that could not form a sentence, that couldn't put rational thoughts together.
So I have two things on this.
Go ahead.
First is a question. Do you think that Oprah wants a political career?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah.
I've never gotten that impression from her.
I do. I think she wants to be asked, though.
Oh, okay. That might be true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she has money and power.
Yeah.
What would she want? The fame and the...
She's already got the fame. She got the
fame. She got the power. But how much more would she be revered?
I don't think she would be. I think Trump's ego is what brought him to the presidency. I don't see that ego in Oprah.
You don't see an ego in Oprah?
I see
all she ever did was talk about herself for 30 years on national television.
No.
And then give cars to people so people would go, "Isn't Oprah so amazing?"
What I'm saying is
she didn't give those to it. It was her production company, by the way. Go ahead.
What I'm saying is I'm not saying that she doesn't have an ego. I'm saying Donald Trump's ego drove him to that. I don't see her ego driving her to that.
I think she's already there. I think she wants to be asked, and I think that she wants history to look at her as the first female black president. I think she wants the honor, the accolades, and the historical precedent because we all know celebrities are a flash in the pan. Here today, gone tomorrow. Hey, remember James Dean? Some people do, but you talk to most people, not really. How about Bogart or Cagney and Lacey, or like name actors throughout history. Michael Douglas, who? But who do you have to remember? The list of the presidents who served in our country. I think that her aspirations are that she wants to be asked because if she knows how it looks because she saw Donald Trump push himself into the discussion. So I think she wants to be asked and be like, you know what?
And they are friends. So she's like, I'm picking up a play, I'm changing the playbook from my friend. I saw him do it. So I'm like, oh, now I'm going to try doing it. I can get behind that, man.
Yeah,
I can get behind that.
And I think for her, it's like, yes, I will. I don't want to be involved in politics, but for the good of our country, I'll do it.
I can
absolutely.
I can 100% stand behind you on that one. That's some pretty good reasoning right there.
Yeah. So it was just weird because I've seen Kamala bail a lot of other less prominent people out over stuff that doesn't matter.
Kamala or Oprah?
Oprah. Sorry, did I say Kamala?
Yeah.
I've seen Oprah bail people out of interviews where they were just talking about stuff that didn't matter on her show.
Fair.
When the Democratic candidate is flailing and she doesn't do anything to offer help, I saw that and I just read so much into it. And maybe it was my imagination going wild, but I looked at it and her body language spoke louder than her silence.
All I'm saying is your reasoning. So even if you read into it and it's not accurate, your reasoning is pretty sound.
Yeah.
So the second point that I wanted to make is, have you heard the conspiracy theory that the earrings that she was wearing were actually like Bluetooth or whatever?
I heard about that. They look kind of similar, but there wasn't enough evidence for me to go, yeah, that's 100% it.
Someone was telling me about that today, and I was like, what? And so they started showing me the stuff, and I'm like,
could be, could not be. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised either way. I wouldn't be surprised if she was given a device to be able to transmit. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised by that. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they just coached her up so well. Hey, here you go. We've been prepping this
didn't she do like a huge like boot camp prep style thing for that debate?
I'm sure she did. Yeah.
If I remember right, that was in the media. Like she was just going hard at it, kind of like Biden was doing. But I don't think Biden had the cognitive ability to actually retain any of it.
Well, I don't think she did either.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So what else is new in the country? The Trump assassinations, obviously the big one. We got the report that showed that 15,000 murderers and 20,000 sex offenders were allowed into the country through the southern border.
Yeah.
Now, don't sit there and say that I'm saying that they all whatever. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is the report saying that 15,000 murderers were let into the country, and these were murderers that were convicted in their home countries, wherever that country was. It was convicted in there. Same with the 20,000 sex offenders, and I think there was some arsonists and some other people. I can't remember the exact report off the top of my head, but that came out. Was that yesterday or Friday?
I don't know.
Or I guess yesterday. Probably was Friday. Yeah. So
Friday. So here's the thing. That's just what we have documented.
Yeah.
That's just what we know of. We have an open border where people are allowed to walk in, no questions asked.
100%.
So that's just what we know. 35,000 that we know of. Okay. That's the tip of the iceberg. That might be 1% of what we've allowed in our country in the past 3 years.
Wasn't it 1,500 terrorists, people on the terrorist watch list were let in? I'm pretty sure that was, I think that was a different report, but I'm pretty sure that came out too this last week.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, Russians and Chinese foreigners were walking into our borders.
Yeah.
No questions asked, no nothing, no paperwork. Just come on in.
Do you want to touch this with the Trump assassination with Iran? Because that's, I don't really want to push it because I don't really trust the intelligence agencies on this one yet.
No.
But I thought it was interesting that reporting came out like within a week after.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
I think they're just looking for, they're trying to get Trump fired up for war. That's what I think.
And it seems to be working because he's sitting there like, the Iranians are putting a hit out on me or whatever he was tweeting. Truthing.
I would have sat there. Truthing. I would have sat there and I would have gone, oh, okay. Didn't you guys just tell the snipers to stand down when I got shot at? Okay.
Yeah.
Go away.
I do find
I don't trust. If I was Trump, I'd be like, I don't trust any of you.
Yeah, 100%.
No.
I do find it hilarious that Donald Trump started Truth Social.
Mm-hmm.
And now whenever Donald Trump puts anything out on his social media network, it's called Truthing. So everything Donald Trump says is the truth. I find that hilarious. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it's not true. I gotta get rid of these flies.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah, it was right on the lens, huh?
He's hanging out.
Jack Wagon.
What's up, dude?
Yeah.
Yeah. The other thing politically, I think. What was it? Oh, just the polls because what was the guy's poll where he said
Lichman?
Lichman.
And Nate Silver.
Lichman.
They've been going on a Twitter next battle.
So you know that one of the things was, are we actively involved in a war?
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to check that one because we sent troops on the ground.
Oh yeah, over it is.
Yeah. So we would have to revise that and take a look at his list again.
Mm-hmm.
And go, well, there's another one that's changed since.
But I'm glad you brought that up because the Silverman and Lichman were actually going at each other on X, which I thought was hilarious. Mm-hmm. I checked out a little bit of those, but basically, because Nate Silver updated his, he does constant updates and now has Kamala at like 58% likely to win or something like that. And Lichman's was like, finally showing that what everyone already knows or something like that. And he responded back. He's like, what are you talking about, dude? Using your own metrics, like your own keys to the White House show that Donald Trump should be winning. Like, just shut up. You're completely, and I'm just like, oh my God, this is hilarious.
Yeah.
Like, totally irrelevant and has no bearing on anything, but it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I see poll numbers going up and down and just all this crazy movement and Kamala now Trump, and I'm just like, things haven't changed.
No.
What is the biggest event that has swayed people's mind in the last 2 to 3 months? Number 1, Trump getting shot at. Number 2, Joe Biden dropping out. Number 3, RFK dropping out.
And
but those weren't even where we saw the biggest week-to-week movements.
Yep.
We saw the biggest week-to-week movements when nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And it's like, Kamala's favored 55 to 45%, and it's over for Trump. And then 2 weeks later, Trump's got it. He's 53, and he's going to win every swing state. And it's like, what has changed? Who in America is calling in mass and going, oh, no. You guys have to know that we have completely changed. No, this isn't happening. Whatever all of these projections are, the hearts of the American people aren't swaying this much month to month, week to week. This is complete idiocy, and it's it's either A, trying to drum up headlines, B, trying to drum up traffic to their websites, or C, it's basically what they're trying to do is push whatever candidate that they think is going to win. And what they want to do is say, Kamala's winning so that people who are going to vote for Kamala think that she has a chance, but they don't want her to appear to be winning by so much that it negatively influences turnout.
Well, it has been shown that people are more likely to vote for candidates they already think are going to win.
Right.
as long as it's not too large of a gap.
Right.
You're 100%
Because,
right on
yeah.
that. So C makes a lot of sense. I think B makes a lot of sense too. I don't necessarily know if that applies to Nate Silverman though. And the reason I say that is because Nate Silverman seems to be going at the polls, and it seems like those polls are coming out in mass in order to get traffic to their sites. And I'm thinking I'm wondering if there shouldn't be some sort of like journalistic standard where like, hey, you only do a poll once a month or something like that, because why would you poll 3, 4, 5 times a month?
Right.
Like that makes no sense to me.
Right.
Unless you're looking to fabricate or statistically show what you want to see, and you're looking for the poll that will actually do it.
Well, and now with AI and everything else, you can really pull demographics. Yeah. So that's what it is. It's, hey, we didn't get the answer we wanted, so we're going to... And they might even be burying polls that are favorable for one candidate or another. It's like, true. We didn't get what we wanted, so we're going to target mostly Hispanics or mostly Caucasians or mostly white college-educated women or mostly whatever it is, and they're able to call and target whoever they want. And so,
what about the pollsters that are actually getting paid by like the DNC? Kind of what it seems like.
Yeah, and I don't think Nate Silver specifically, but I think most of the rest of the polls out there, it is, it's just for it to fluctuate this much doesn't make any sense.
100%. So, I agree with you there.
Sorry, if Trump assassination and Biden dropping out don't hugely affect the polls, I'm sorry. What happened in the last 2 weeks, even post debate? Like, okay, so after the debate we had. Even though most independents thought that
Kamala won or
Trump had won,
yep.
Oh my goodness, I feel like it's Lord of the Flies up in here.
I know.
Even though they thought Trump had won, basically the polls after the debate had Kamala leading, and then all of a sudden Trump spikes up out of nowhere, and there's been no major events,
no major shifts.
And it's just well, I don't see it. I
100% agree with you on that. So all right, running on an hour, let's go ahead and end it.
All right, grab the fly swatter and call it good.
Here
he comes.
Kids,
here he comes. Here he comes.
If you have kids, make sure they shut the doors, otherwise you end up with flies in the house and it's annoying. So PSA, just FYI.
Pretty fly for a white guy.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Till next time.